Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. We're back with the SEC preview show. Juan Daniels, the former UGA Bulldawg and professional athlete, and now he is an unofficial, unauthorized, we're going to call that. We're going to call him a scout now for the Auburn Tigers, and we'll talk about that in just a second, along with our co-host and founder, Vincent Turner. Vincent, welcome to another episode. Week 4 is done. It's almost time for week 5. Lots of interesting things taking place in the SEC. Give me an overall perspective of where last week left us off and what's exciting for this coming week and what we can discuss here today at length.
Well, one thing for sure that I learned, they rocking in the Grove.
Yes, they are.
Trinidad Chambliss, Hassman, Lane Kiffin. Back to you, Harp.
That's all
That's
we need to hear.
simple.
Man, Ole Miss is they're 3-0 in the conference right now, Juan. 3-0, and they're 5-0 overall. That was Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Remember when the blue and the red guy would just hit each other and one of them would try to knock each other? I think the first half was basically Rock'em Sock'em. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know you were at a different game. We'll talk about it in just a second. But the thing to me is their speed, their continuity, their ability to just keep the pedal to the metal. They wore out an LSU defense that hardly ever gets worn out.
Yeah. Well, and if you don't remember, like what I said last week, I think y'all were kind of shocked because I said this is going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, you did.
And I did. I said it was going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like LSU had the offense to really kind of blow it out, and I just thought that Ole Miss had an opportunity because they have a really great offense. Like Vincent said, Chambliss is fantastic. But again, I mean, heavyweight bout. But at the end, Ole Miss was able to pull it out, and Lane Kiffin was able to work his magic again.
Yeah, they are 3-0 as I mentioned. Missouri, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Alabama are all undefeated at 1-0 each and every one of those. So a real distinct advantage in terms of catch me if you can standings right now. And Vincent, again, 5-0. There's Missouri and Vanderbilt are 5-0. Oklahoma and A&M are 4-0. Bama and Georgia are 3-1. LSU and Tennessee are 4-1. There's 8 to 10 teams right there that are within a game of this. So it's not over by any stretch of the imagination. But if I'm the Ole Miss Rebels, as you mentioned, the Grove, good place to be right now.
No question about it. I mean, that was a huge win. It wouldn't have not been closer. Remember, Ole Miss had 14 penalties in that game? They would have ran LSU off the field. But I say this. Lane Kiffin has went to a place at Ole Miss, I think, before he got there, never had a 10-win season. Think about that. And they had a lot of great players. Then you think about Archie Manning playing there. Then Eli. Then you think about the guy that's at Auburn, who I think really changed the culture at Ole Miss. Hugh Freeze showed that you can win at that school. But when you all said and done, I think it's great for the conference. And then once we get to, hopefully I'm not jumping ahead, what I'm looking forward to is the battle down there in Tuscaloosa. The ego is talking smack. That's what I'm looking for, Alabama revenge. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, well, they're right there. You mentioned A&M is 4-0, and someone who knows a little bit about that. Juan, first and foremost, sorry that we had a loss. Another tough one, 16-10. Yeah. You're within one possession of being right there with everybody else. But you were there. Tell us a little bit about the experience of going to College Station for the first time and being a part of that Auburn and Texas A&M game last week.
Well, I'll tell you first and foremost, the 12th man is real. Those guys, they're loud, they scream, they have their chants the entire game. The cadets sitting in the stands, man, when I tell you they are passionate about some Texas A&M football, they are passionate about it. They've got some great things going on right now. And again, I even said, before they played Notre Dame, I said, give me Mike Elko. Mike Elko has really turned that program around. They believe. And that was a tough game. It was a hard-fought game, even though the score doesn't really show. It was a hard-fought game in the trenches. And for Texas A&M, normally they blow those games. And Mike Elko has them believing. The crowd I'm telling you, we were kind of lower level, hearing that crowd coming down from the top, it was absolutely insane.
What was the capacity? About 104?
It was 104,000.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, this is crazy. I've never obviously heard anything like this. It was a sellout for the students. It was 41,000 student tickets were purchased. So they had 41,000 just student tickets. So that's pretty much, I mean, think about it. Most of these campuses or most of these schools have like an enrollment of like 25 to maybe 30,000. So to have 41,000 student tickets sold, and then that's on top of the other diehard Texas A&M fans, it was rocking.
Man, the high school kid that's in the area that want to go, not for the recruiting, but just because the parents have been season ticket holders for years and they want to go. You've got Pee-wee kids, Pop Warner age kids that would love that's probably a dream come true for a lot of them, especially in that area. Maybe in Dallas you want to go see the Cowboys or see the Texans if you're in Houston, but you're in a different spot there. That's A&M country. You mentioned, and I'm not teasing with you, but you said the students sitting around. There's a section where they don't sit at all, right? Is that where the band doesn't sit? Do they?
No, they were up and rowdy. I'm talking about during commercials, during halftime, during any break. I mean, they just don't stop. I mean, it's almost like they run off of solar power, and they give it everything that they have. And so obviously you see and you hear about the 12th man, but it truly is. It lives up to the hype.
It was 13-3 at the half. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's going to be tough sledding, but we just need a couple of plays or just a break here or there. We finally get a break, and we make it 13-10 or 16-10, and they go and they run the ball 3 times. They kick the ball to us. We had 2 minutes and a timeout, and you're just thinking, hey, this is going to be the time to make that drive, score a touchdown. We win 17-16. We just run off in a blaze of glory, and you know what? Their defense was like, we are not having it. We just don't. It's just not going to happen.
The numbers were small. Cobb was leading rusher with 28 yards. Singleton, leading receiver with 56 yards. Every yard, it seemed to me, you had to fight for.
Every single one. And then, of course, too, 7 sacks. That's tough to overcome. Yeah. And then also, not only that, we had a lot of penalties. And anytime that you're playing 1st and 15, 1st and 20, to try to overcome that is just very, very tough.
Yeah. Outside the sticks is hard to play there. All right. I'm not asking you because I want you to be mean or cruel to any of the players or the groups or anything like that. I'm just asking, was it a combination of the A&M pass rush? Was it a weakness in the offensive line where guys were like looking at each other? I thought you had a mind. Was it a little bit of both, or was there one side or another? Tell me what 7 sacks is a lot here in week 4 of the season.
A lot of exotic schemes. It was funny. It's almost like they took, a page out of Brent Venables' playbook from Oklahoma. I mean, Brent does a great job of doing exotic blitzes and just kind of doing different things and confusing the defense. And if you go back and look at the game, I mean, they were, having defensive linemen drop, and then they were sending linebackers, they were sending corners, they were doing all kinds of things just to kind of mess you up. And then, then it's, now we got to get the ball out quickly. And if you don't get the ball out quickly, now we have some problems. So they did a great job. I mean, they did a great job of scheming for us. And those are just ones that, the great teams are able to overcome. And so the last 2 weeks we're not able to overcome. And, now we're sitting here at 3-2. And that just is, like I said, unfortunately, we're not in the mix of all those teams that you said that, that are up there 4, 5-0, 4-1, 3-1. So we're going to have to battle if we have an opportunity, if we're going to have an opportunity to get to that college football playoff.
I mean, no disrespect when I do it, but the standings are, as Bill Parcells said, hey, our record is we are what we say we are, and that's on the screen too. It's just in 2 close games also. Juan, you're within a score of each of these games that over the last couple of weeks, and it's a completely different. You'll have 55,000. You don't even have 55,000 students on campus, but for that next home game, if it were 5-0 right now, but it's not, and got to live through it and
Yes.
get a little better and work on some things. And next thing you know, we're pulling an upset and we're ready for Bama at the end of the year.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Nothing's impossible.
Well, all right, let's look a little bit, folks. It's a SEC show. We talked a little bit about what happened last week, and here we are at week 6, gentlemen. Thursday night, tomorrow, Sam Houston State, New Mexico State in a non-conference game that kicks off. That'll be on the CBS network. Friday has 5 games, including my Rams at Colorado State. They'll be playing at San Diego State. But Saturday at noon is when it all begins. Let's start with our first game. Juan, being a Georgia Bulldog, tough loss to Alabama last week. Let's talk a little bit about that, both Vincent and you. Just give me some perspective on, you're still number 12 in the nation. It's one loss, but doggone, it's been so hard to beat Alabama for the past decade. Is the ghost of Bear Bryant and the ghost of Nick Saban still swimming around in some Bulldogs' heads?
I think it is, for whatever reason. It's what I think it was like the last 10 out of 11. It's actually kind of crazy. It's kind of tough. However, now you know how the Tennessees feel and the Floridas feel when they can't beat Georgia for whatever reason, or Georgia Tech. Alabama just has our number for whatever reason. And credit to DeBoer. They kind of thought that their season was done when they lost to Florida State. They just kind of wrote Alabama off. Alabama came in with a mission, and they said, you know what? This is our national championship, like it is every year. I think their national championship is to beat Georgia. They pour everything into it, and they always find a way.
You know what? An interesting point there, Vincent. Kalen DeBoer, he's not going to be coach of the year right now, but I'm going to thank him, if I'm a Crimson Tide fan, for toughening up my guys when they absolutely needed to. And everyone in the press and all that, I think he pulled an Aaron Rodgers press conference when he goes, enough. And he might have said a word that's a little bit harder, but, forget this. Let's go play. And they've responded. And I didn't expect them to dominate the way that they did. Georgia really struggled. We were mentioning Auburn just a moment ago about how hard it was for them to earn every yard. Was there some similarity there for the Bulldogs against that Alabama Crimson Tide defense?
No, I think really Georgia had some plays for making that game, and they left some on the table. If you would have told me Georgia would have rushed for 221 yards, I would have looked at you like you was crazy. And then you look at Caleb DeBoer. I think he just got back to coaching the way he coached at the University of Washington. Let's go play ball. But the biggest key to me, and I said this coming into the game, was which quarterback was going to play better. Ty Simpson really showed me that he's really progressed as not only a player and a good quarterback, but a leader. He came out with that pregame speech, and he came out and he put it on the field. Because you think about this, Alabama went, 8 for 8 on third downs?
Mm-hmm.
That was very impressive. But I'm going to get back to Georgia. Georgia had plays to win that game at the end, and it's one play that I didn't understand. And I'm not throwing nobody on the bus, Mr. Juan Daniels. I'm going to make sure I keep my words very carefully here. But when Georgia was going in, the score was 24-21, you had that fourth down play. Why would you have Cash Jones on the field at 4th and 1 when you got Chauncey Bowens that been rolling that rock all night? I just couldn't understand it. Or Josh McCray in the game, McCrary. You only needed 1 yard, and you're not going to tell me Alabama's reeling on defense. They wouldn't have tackled those guys like that. The LT Overton seemed like just made a soft tackle. But getting back to the game, I think Ty Simpson was a big key in that football game. I think Georgia had the plays for making that game. 2 real good teams. I think that right now, when you get in the buck of the SEC, I say this. I wouldn't want to play neither one of them because I think both of them going to hit their stride. And I think Georgia's going to prove that on Saturday. They're going to come back and steamroll Kentucky. I feel sorry for Mark Stoops on Saturday. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, we got Cutter Boley, who's only thrown for 402 yards. I mean, just barely cracked 400. McGowan, the leading rushers, almost got as many yards on the ground at 387. They're 0-2 in the conference. They're 2-2 overall. Remember last year, what was it, 13-12 was the final one?
Yep.
It was a close game, and Kentucky plays a completely different ball game at home than but can they package that? Can they box it somewhere and put some tape over it and bring it with them to go to Sanford Stadium? What do you anticipate here for this game Saturday? By the way, the game is at noon. It's on ABC, but it is one of the first games that you'll be able to see there Saturday afternoon.
This is going to be an absolute beatdown. And I feel bad for Kentucky because Georgia's coming off that loss to Auburn. Kirby's going to be very upset. The team is going to be very upset. Unfortunately for Kentucky, they don't have a passing game. They don't have receivers. They have a small amount of a run game, and I just think everything that they do plays into Georgia's hands. I actually see this being a shutout, and I think that this is going to be a statement game. To Vincent's point, at this point in time, I don't think anybody wants to see Georgia or Alabama right now.
Okay, fair enough. Gunnar Stockton, he's got 851 yards. Young is the leading receiver with 17 receptions and a touchdown. You're kind of saying this is going to be a blowout. They're going to go high, they're going to go low, they're going to give deep, they're going to go across the middle of the field. They're going to just make up for all of the bad practice time that Kirby probably has been beating them up this week. You think that has anything to do with it?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, you got an angry coach that translates into an angry team. And unfortunately for Kentucky, it's going to be taken out on them. I think it's just going to be a steamroll from the time that the coin is flipped to the time that the final whistle blows. I just think it's going to be bad.
Vincent, you concur?
100%. I think Georgia's going to run the ball. I think Georgia's going to get up early. I think the reserves are going to be playing by time maybe the third quarter. And I think Georgia's going to let everybody know, hey, we haven't went nowhere. And Uga's going to have a nice treat on the sideline.
Well, that sounds to me like your second and third team guys are all going to make sure their shoelaces are tied real tight and their chin straps are buckled because they're going to get a chance to play. Next game we want to look at, this is a 3:30 game, Florida Gators and the University of Texas Longhorn. Texas comes into Florida. They'll be playing at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. 3:30 game here at ESPN. They're ranked number 9 in the country. They're 3-1 and 1-3 Gators. First and foremost, Juan, we'll go with you. What do you expect here in a sea of orange that will be in the crowd? You're not going to be able to tell the difference unless there's a hook 'em horns on your shirt or the blue portion of the gator. A lot of orange.
Yeah, this is my upset alert game. Florida has not played very well.
Wait, I want to get a full screen on you. Wait a second. You're going to say something that I think might be a little bold and brash. What do you?
Yeah,
and we're not talking about a new wine. We're talking about a prediction. Go right ahead, my friend.
Yeah, this is my upset special here. Defensively, I think Florida is about as good as anybody in the country. I see them being just as good as Ohio State. You know how you saw what Ohio State did to Texas. I think it's going to be very tough sledding for Arch Manning, and I think it's going to come down to one or two defensive possessions on Florida's behalf, maybe getting a turnover here or there that's going to put them into scoring position. And all I would say that Florida is going to need is probably anywhere from 17 to 20 points, and they win this football game.
They're 0-1 right now. 1-1 would put them from the bottom into the middle of the pack right there with the SEC, kind of where they can start feeling better about themselves than they are right now. Is that anything from a motivational standpoint to guys, you just need to turn it around. You got to play like Gators and in the history behind us. We may not win a national championship, but we're not out of this thing yet. Is there any portion of that from the coaching's perspective?
Absolutely. This is a pride moment right here. If you can beat the number 9 Texas Longhorns and the quote unquote almighty Arch Manning, this is going to send shockwaves obviously through the SEC, but it's going to rejuvenize this team. And they're just going to have a brand new outlook on everything. That doesn't necessarily say that puts Billy Napier out of the hot seat, but it would be a start of something pretty big.
It's a glass of cold water that he can hold for at least a little while, unless he needs to drink it all. Vincent, do you have an upset special, or do you think that Arch Manning, with his 888 yards coming in, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, is going to kind of say, hey, there's a reason why I'm the number 1 prospect right now, and I'm going to show you Floridians what that's all about? Give me your perspective.
Big game for Arch Manning. A game that we can all say this is what we talked about him coming into the season, being the number 1 quarterback in the country. But like Juan said and you said, he hasn't played well all year long. So this is a huge game for the University of Texas because everybody right now is saying it's Texas deserving this number 9 ranking. It's Arch Manning, the guy. Is he the number 1 overall pick? But Texas got a good defense too. Anthony Hill is a baller. Colin Simmons is a baller. Now the Florida Gators. To me, it's all about DJ Legway. He has to play well on Saturday. And what I mean by that, he cannot turn the football over. He's got to make some plays. They got a pretty good football player on the defensive side, Caleb Banks. And I love Billy Napier. He's from Cookeville, Tennessee, baby. Can't love him. Born there. But at the end of the day, this is a huge game for Florida. They can't get blowed out. They can't, because Monday morning, there's 2 words I'm going to say. And I respect you, Mr. Warren. You picking Florida in the upset. But don't let them get steamrolled because it's going to be 2 words Monday morning. And it might that pink slip. Think about Mike Gundy and Sam Pittman. John Gruden. Back to you, Hawk. John Gruden. Remember, he lives in Tampa, and he's been lobbying for some jobs in the SEC. Back to you, Hawk.
Hey, are we going to hear a lot from Cookman, Tennessee? Is that what you said? Where he's from? Cookman?
Cookeville, Tennessee
Cookville.
Tech.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Same place where the Brown brothers are from.
I know.
Matt.
I know the over under on Memphis is still at 4. Right. We haven't had a Memphis connection yet, but we will.
Dan Lanning.
Cookville is new for me. Hey, another game that we're going to talk about here, folks. I'm just going to bring it right now. I'm going to give you my prediction, but let's talk a little bit about the 5-0, number 16 ranked Vanderbilt Commodores. I'm going to stop right there and let that sink in for just a second. I don't care who they play. They're 5-0, and Nashville's got to be pretty excited about this. But you got to go to Bryant-Denny Stadium, and here's the thing that is very interesting from my perspective. Yes, they beat Georgia State. Yes, they beat Utah State last week. I get it. They're 5-0. They could end up 5-5 and struggle at the end of the year because they got LSU and Texas and Alabama and some other teams coming up. I'm not predicting that. There's a difference. I'm just saying if they're for real, they'll be 8-1 or 9-2 or something like that. But if they're not, they could be 5-5. Tell me I'm wrong, Juan. Tell me that what you're saying, Harper. You don't know what you're talking about. They're going to beat the brakes off of Alabama, and everything is going to be just fine.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I was a big time fan of Vanderbilt, but if you look at the game last week against Utah State, at one point in time they were down like 14-0, and they got a slow start. If they go down to Bryant-Denny Stadium and get a slow start, they're going to get ran over. Absolutely ran over. Alabama's again coming off of a big win off of Georgia, and they're riding high right now. DeBoer has these guys, looking completely different. They were embarrassed last year by Vanderbilt at Vandy.
Thank you.
Trust me, they are not going to let that happen this time.
Yeah, I don't care how many portal guys you got. No one who was there from last year will allow that to happen. Tell me I'm wrong there, Vincent, because I think there's a deeper motivation than just we're hosting another SEC game against a team that we should beat. I think Bryant-Denny will have a little deeper resonance in the cheering. No. We want to beat you and beat you badly.
No question about it. What did Vanderbilt do last year? They ran for like a crazy number of yards, right? They had like 200-some yards rushing. I believe they had a couple of drives in the fourth quarter when they just ran the ball down Alabama's throat. Oh, let me say this: Alabama defense couldn't stop them.
Right.
But I'm gonna say this: I'm really understanding and believing Vanderbilt is a serious football team. Think about it. They beat Virginia Tech on the road 44-20 and got Brent Pryor fired. Then he went up to South Carolina when I was drinking Shane Beamer's water and dominated them 31-7. And you're looking at this game, Alabama said, they're going to be up. The fans are going to be rocking. Alabama is, as a team, they're going to want revenge. But hold up. Let's don't get it twisted. I love the quarterback from Vanderbilt. I saw something today that he said on Twitter. Diego P. That's what he said, call him by his first name. He said, hey, we don't scare about going into Bryant Denny Stadium. We don't care nothing about the legend Bear Bryant. He's saying this on Twitter. He said, if we do what we do as a football team and play our game, and you saw him up close and personal, Hop, he said that, hey, Alabama can't beat us. And he's saying that after Alabama and them lost to them and Alabama coming out to win against Georgia. I'm not saying Vanderbilt is going to win the football game by no means, but this is a very good football team that has a very good coach in Clark Lee. Remember, he was the D coordinator at Notre Dame and decided to come back to Vanderbilt when he had a lot of jobs across the country. So that being said, I think it's going to be a hard-hitting football game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Alabama's going to win. But I think we're going to learn a little bit more about the Vanderbilt program, what they're doing in Nashville. And before I give it back to you, Hop, I'd like to send a shout out to a good friend of mine who was player of the year in Memphis when I came out of high school in '78. The only three-time player, basketball, baseball, and football, and he's all first team SEC, Mr. Raymond Buggs, Vanderbilt University. Back to you, Hop.
All right, we've had two mentions now. One, we still get another two to get there. Hey,
Yeah.
how about Martin, Tennessee? His name is Ty Simpson. He's the quarterback for the University of Alabama. 1,138 yards so far, and 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. Is this the quietest Alabama quarterback that nobody's raving about in the last 15 or 20 years?
Yeah, well, you know what? He's playing like A.J. McCarron. Really, if you remember A.J. McCarron, very quiet. You know, hey, little play action. Let's just get the ball here. Let me just throw the ball here to Julio Jones, whoever it is. That's just kind of what he does, and he's very consistent. A little bit different from Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe was inconsistent. When he was good, he was good. When he was bad, he was bad. But Ty Simpson is the perfect person to lead this offense, especially for, Kalen DeBoer. Think about it. Kalen DeBoer's had a Michael Penix. Michael Penix wasn't a super dynamic athlete running the ball, but passing the ball he was, and he ran the system very well. I'm not comparing him, Ty Simpson, to Peyton Manning. But if you look at Ty Simpson, the way he does his play action, the way he does his dropbacks, he looks like Peyton Manning, the way that he actually does his movements and everything. He actually looks like him. So if you get an opportunity, look at some film on him. And when you see those play action, the way he does everything, you're going to be like, man, that looks very familiar. Ty Simpson, again, hey, lean on your defense. Throw it to your dynamic receivers and Jeremy Bernard and then Ryan Williams and just lead those guys down the field. That's exactly what they did against Georgia.
Do you think that Diego Pavia, he's been through a lot? You know, he got that injunction lifted where he gains an extra year of eligibility. What's he in his 7th year now because the junior college experience didn't count against him. He beats Alabama last year. They're 5-0 this year. Is it cocky or is he just going, hey, I've got the ability right now to say some things that I couldn't say if we were 1-4, so I'm going to go ahead and say them?
It's not cocky. I think it's confident. And if you've got a guy that's like that, your team, they're going to follow you. They may not be as talented as in Alabama, but the effort that they're going to give you is going to be just as much effort as Alabama has. And all they need is a chance, and all they need is an opportunity, but you have to have that leader. So a lot different from Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson is a quiet leader. Diego is a guy that he's like, hey, y'all rally around me. I'll go first. That Braveheart type mentality. And those guys are going to follow him.
Well, if they win this game, I mean, it really opens a lot of things for Vanderbilt. They're bowl eligible already at 6-0 if they win it, but they're not there yet. So, Vincent, this game is at 3:30. It's on ABC. Number 16 ranked Vanderbilt heads to Bryant Denny against number 3-1, the Alabama Crimson Tide. So this will be one that a lot of folks will be keeping their eyes on in a way that they may not have in previous years. All right, here's the cakewalk of the week. Juan, do I even have to ask you, does Kent State, what are they going to do? Are they going to score? Will they get a touchdown, or will it just be a field goal or two?
They will not get a touchdown or a field goal. That defense of Brent Venables is just, it's out of this world, and there's no way Kent State's going to even be able to match up.
They're 1-3, Vincent. Kent State, what are they? The Golden Flash. Oklahoma is 4-0. They're ranked number 5 in the country. Do you agree? Disagree? Do you think there might be anything different? I'm just talking about the Oklahoma defense. We can talk about the rest of the team, but will they pitch a shutout?
Let me see. Kent State last game out, they lost to Florida State. What, 66-10? So, in Oklahoma, what we've
They got
seen,
10. I'm wondering if they're going to get 10 here, or is Oklahoma go, no, we won't even let them get 9. We're not going to let them get 3. We're not going to let them get 1. It's not going to happen.
Boomer Sooner shut out. I'm agreeing with Mr. Daniels. The defense is that good. And Kip Lewis is one of the best players in the country. I love him at the linebacker position for Oklahoma.
All right, John Mateer, Juan. A little hurt, a little banged up, right? But he's still got 1,200 yards. He's got 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Does he get to do some serious padding? Does he want to stay in the third quarter so he can have 5 more TDs to add to his total and put himself right back in the Heisman race?
Actually, I don't think he's going to play this. I don't think he's going to play this week.
Yeah,
they're going to go with I can't even think of his name.
Hawkins.
Michael Hawkins. Michael Hawkins Jr. That's who they're going to go with this week. Which again, it's a perfect opportunity to get Mateer some additional rest as he's coming off of that broken hand, and it's really an opportunity for Michael Hawkins Jr. to kind of put his name back in the mix for even next year, because again, he's the one that took over for Jackson Arnold for a couple of games. And so now he's going out with his sophomore campaign to try to really make himself some money for next year.
Okay. Running game. I think offensively, OU's just not. They're not going to bully you, but if you can't stop me, if we run in between the guards, we're going to gain 400 yards on the ground. Fair enough, Vincent.
Agreeable.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not going to need to throw it all that much, and I'm not pitying Kent State. I'm just saying that they'll make $1 million, maybe 1.2 or something like that, and they'll go back they'll go back home and they'll take care of their budget for the rest of the year. But
my only concern is that nobody needs to get hurt in this game. No starters.
Yeah,
that'll be my only concern if I'm Oklahoma.
Memorial Stadium there in Norman, Oklahoma. You were there last week, Juan, or within the last 10 days. Do me a favor, Jameel Holloway, Keith Jackson, Brian Bosworth, the 85 national championship team from Oklahoma will reunionize themselves. And do you think the stories will be this high, or how everyone's gained a couple of pounds? What's that like from your perspective when you go back and you get to see all the guys that you haven't seen for a decade or two, and you get to celebrate something like that? What do you think those guys are going to be doing there at Oklahoma?
Oh, they're going to be having fun. Obviously, they're going to be reminiscing and probably poking at each other. My only hope is that Jameel Holloway comes in that fur coat that he had on back in the day. Like, that's the only thing I care about. If he does that, my day will be made.
Him and Joe Namath, and maybe who knows, maybe Mateer will have one.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever ask the question? There was a Heineken commercial many years ago where these two guys are in a bar and they're talking about some 235 hitting catcher that is going to make $1 million or something like that. And they look at each other and go, I wonder what Mickey Mantle and Willie Mays would be saying about, a contract like that going for $1 million. And they were hitting 285, 295, whatever it was in the day. I can only imagine what NIL money would have looked like for Jameel, Boz, Keith Jackson, Tony Casillas, Ricky Bryan, Scott Case was a part of that at that time in that era. Oh my God. I don't know if I can't imagine how much what do you do? Yeah, that's right. We're doing the Johnny Manziel, show me the money. Just amazing. But I did ask Jimmy, I got to talk to him. He'll be on with us next week. Injuries kicking up now. Yeah. He goes, my hips and my knees don't work like they used to. And he said, that turf that we had in Norman, it was like it was in Philadelphia in the Vet Stadium. It was basically just spray painted green concrete. And I said, I know, but it looks so fast. You guys all look like you were flying, and you had those little green pellets of green AstroTurf that would stick to the back of your shoes. and he said he was so fast that nothing stuck to the back of his shoe. So that was kind of fun. But memories aside, they had some great teams, and between them and I'll throw Colorado in every couple of years, but between them and Nebraska, was there anything that was more fun around Thanksgiving time than watching those two teams on a windy, overcast, cold Saturday afternoon in either Norman or in Omaha? I mean, gosh, what a amazing rivalry those two guys had. Those two teams.
71, baby. Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
Number 1 versus number 2. I always remember Johnny Rodgers taking that punt back, setting it off. Jerry Taggart, Jeff Kennedy, Rich Glover having 22 tackles in that game. And that bone for Oklahoma. Jack Mildred, Greg Pruitt, they started it. And think about Oklahoma got beaten that game by Nebraska. Nebraska goes on to win the national championship. You know who Oklahoma played in the Sugar Bowl that year? Auburn. Down in Tulane, War Eagle. Look how the Lord bringing this together tonight, baby.
Yeah, he is.
Look how he bringing it together tonight.
Well, think about that game, and then for 15 years, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Either Oklahoma or Nebraska was either 1, 2, 3, or 5. They never played each other without a top 10 ramification, bowl game, everything. I mean, for 15 or maybe 20 years, I don't know. It just a shame to me that they don't play each other. They're in different conferences right now, but that's college football history right there.
No question about it. When you look at the tradition, you look at all the great players, I.M. Hill, Roger Craig, one more can say Neil Smith, then look at Oklahoma.
Moses Hip, yes.
Then look at all the Oklahoma players that
Yes.
played that running back position. Sims, Washington, oh my God, Overstreet, Kenny King, Tillman. Then I'm gonna let you bring that back up. Who we gonna have on Wednesday? But I'm gonna give it back to you, our lead guy, Mr. Harper LaBelle.
Well, Jameel Holloway was a part of that too. I used
Yes,
to teach when I got a chance to talk to him. I said, Jameel, pitch left, pitch right, keep it, pitch it, give it to the front guy, give it to the dive, and then Keith Jackson over the middle. He's a 245-pounder from, and having Keith Jackson, the announcer, talk about Keith Jackson, the wide receiver. Does it get any better than that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Little Rock Progview for Mr. Keith Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Of course, who else is from Memphis? Is there any Memphis player that played?
No, I said Keith Jack. Oh, he was your former teammate. He's from Little Rock Progview, but my whole thing was it came down to Arkansas and Oklahoma. And he's just like, well, Oklahoma was doing better up there. They were winning national championships. That's why he chose Oklahoma.
Well, Norman, Oklahoma Memorial Stadium at 4:00. They will host the Kent State Golden Flash, and that game will be seen on the SEC Network. Next one we're going to look at, guys. Let me go one. We got 2 more games. We got 2. Excuse me. No, we don't. I'm sorry. Last game of the night. Has anybody been surprised at how good the Bulldogs from Mississippi State have been playing? You just saw A&M, Juan, and they get 16 points against Auburn. Mississippi State is playing pretty well right now. I'm kind of surprised at where this one is. 7:30 on the SEC Network. Mississippi State is 4-0. They go against number 6 Texas A&M. They're also 4-0. Give me your thoughts here, Juan.
Upset special number 2.
Come on. Are you serious? We got 2 upsets?
Upset special number 2. Obviously, I got a chance to see Texas A&M firsthand, but then to see Mississippi State not only beat a really good Arizona State team who just beat TCU, who was a really good team, but then for them to go toe-to-toe with Tennessee. I mean, they were beating Tennessee up and down the field, and to unfortunately lose to them in overtime, that was tough. But what the turnaround to go from 2-10 to what they're doing right now, and they're right there in the hunt. If they go and beat a good Texas A&M team, look for them to actually go out there and make some noise. But I do believe that Mississippi State will come out and win this game.
That's a bold comment there. Blake Shapen, I believe I'm saying
Yes.
that right. 1,000 yards for him, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions there for the Bulldogs. Give me some perspective that you would have maybe from the other side. Let's first look at A&M, Vincent, and then we'll go to Mississippi State on the other side of that.
Hey, they've done everything they're supposed to do. A lot of people saying they was a college football playoff team to start the year. They started off with a big win in Notre Dame. That was huge for the program.
Yeah,
Marcel Reed has played like we thought he could play. He set the other guy down, Connor Wickman, who's now at Houston last year. Everybody was saying, Mike Elko, you losing your mind. You sitting down a home state kid. Marcel Reed, sorry Hop, Nashville, Tennessee in the house. Um, the kid that came, state of Tennessee is representing here tonight on the
yes, it
SEC
is.
show.
Yes, they are.
But this kid has played real well. I knew Mike Elko could coach defense. We all knew that, and we knew he was a hell of a coach. Look what he done at Duke his 2 seasons there. So I'm not surprised A&M is where they at right now. But like I said, they're going into a tough game with Mississippi State. Like Mr. Daniels said, you better not be sleeping because this is a real good football team. They had my Tennessee Vols on the ropes last week. They could
Yeah.
have easily lost that football game. And the quarterback we're not talking about, Blake Shapen. Remember last year, he got injured. Out for the year, Mississippi State went 2-9. He's healthy now. And Jeff Levy, the head coach, former OC at Boomer Sooner, Oklahoma, that is a real good Mississippi State team, man. The running back, Bothwell, is a real good player. DJ Reed is a good player on the defensive side of the ball. Them Cowbells. Texas A&M is going to be in for another tough football game, but that's the SEC what we're looking at right now. NFL schedules every week. Everybody playing, everybody that's good. Back to you, Hawk.
Yeah, this will be interesting for me. You mentioned Shapen. I'm just looking at the first. They're 4-0, so they beat Arizona State, Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, and then that overtime. Juan, I don't know if you got to see it. I did not, but for them to go to overtime against Tennessee, and Tennessee needed to win that game, right? They
Sure
absolutely had
did.
to bounce back
Hmm.
from that debacle against Georgia. So they're both playing with everything that they got, and they went toe to toe with Tennessee. A late touchdown for the Vols, and they end up winning it 41-34. But give me your perspective just on what you think the momentum there and what that would do for the Cowbells and everybody down there in Starkville to be able to go against Mississippi State and get a win there.
They believe. Number one, that's the biggest thing is they believe. But for you to go toe to toe with a great Tennessee team who pretty much ran up and down the field against Georgia, and the other games that Tennessee has played, they've basically blown people out. So onlookers like myself, I didn't really think that Mississippi State had a chance. And for them to be leading most of that game, and
Yep.
really just kind of handed it to Tennessee, going up and down the field on them, that they believe. And so I really, truly think that a Tennessee team is kind of head and shoulders above Texas A&M. And that's why this is my upset special. I see Mississippi State coming out with a victory.
Yeah, well, you saw there were occasions where Auburn had a chance to win the game last week when you were there in College Station at the game at Kyle Field, and I would imagine that they get another home game. But if they don't bring that same energy, Mississippi State can sneak something out. That's my perspective of what you're trying to tell me. Correct?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Now, if they play like this is the Super Bowl or they're playing for the national championship, A&M might, shock us and everybody else. But 4-1 versus 4-0 should be a good game, guys. Before we go, there are 7 schools. Tennessee. I'm going to mention them. Vincent, just say it one more time so we can say Tennessee and we reach our over/under here. South Carolina. Ole Miss, who, what a great spot for them to be in right now. Missouri, we won't talk about them this week. LSU, Auburn, and Arkansas all have byes this week. Give me an idea of what the coaching staffs at each of those schools, if there's any one that sticks out to you, give me a perspective of what you think. We're right where we need to be, or we're one game away. Give me your thought and perspective. Juan, we'll start with you.
The team right now for me is Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they had a couple of tough games. They played a pretty good, SEC schedule, from the jump. And so now they get an opportunity to rest. They get an opportunity to just to kind of, hey, look at our schedule and say, hey, this is what we got to do in order to make this championship run. I see them being a big time player for the SEC, to play in the SEC championship. And, hey, Lane Kiffin has got those boys believing right now. And then my other team would be just Auburn. Hey, you've got 2 weeks, you got a bye week to find out who are you? Like, who are you? There were certain times that, people thought, hey, this could definitely be a playoff team, maybe even have a run for the SEC. That's not happened. So right now, do you fold the tent, take your toys and go home? Or do you say, hey, you know what, we've got a lot to play for. We got a lot of football in front of us. What are we going to do to try to make that run for a college playoff bid?
Real quick, Juan. We can peek ahead. I know that every team, and no, we don't do that. We play our schedule and only the team that we're going to be going against next week, but we can look ahead. Ole Miss has Washington State, a very winnable game. It's at home. They play Georgia at home the following week. That is on the 18th of October.
Mm-hmm.
Then Oklahoma in Norman, but then they got South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and then Mississippi State. Even on a bad week, they go 10-2, right? Worst case scenario, they're already 5-0. Am I out of my mind thinking that that far ahead? Even if they lose to Georgia and Oklahoma, that's 10-2. But 10-2 will get you into the playoff. I'm thinking when you look at how highly ranked they are, as long as they don't move down too much.
Yeah, and the only one I see them even having a challenge with is going to be Georgia, and how they handled and beat Georgia last year. I would almost maybe expect the same. I do see Ole Miss being in the SEC championship. I think if I'm just kind of throwing and looking ahead, it may be at Ole Miss Tennessee. That'll be a pretty good matchup if that does happen. But right now, I feel like Ole Miss is in the driver's seat and they control their own destiny, and that's probably what Lane Kiffin is telling them. Right now it's time to put up or shut up.
Yeah, Vincent, let's just stick with Ole Miss for a second. You heard me give the schedule: Washington State, Georgia. They got a bye this week, and then they got the Cougars, Bulldogs, Sooners, Gamecocks in the next 4 weeks. Even if they split that, and I don't think they will. I think they go 3-1, and if they go 4-0, it's over. I'm not crowning them champions. I'm just saying that they control their own destiny with Florida, Mississippi State at the end of the year.
College playoff team, lane
Yeah.
wide open. I don't see but one tough game on the skate, and that's Georgia. Coming to Athens, everybody else is, I want to say like this,
Well,
lunch.
let me just throw this out there. Going to Oklahoma the week after Georgia, that's not going to be a cakewalk. Oklahoma's ranked number 5 for a reason. So the two of them should both be in the top 10. If that's not my CBS game of the week, I don't know what will be.
I think I like this Ole Miss team. I think they have a little more better talent than Oklahoma. Oklahoma might have a better defense, but I like what they got on offense for Ole Miss. I'm going to say it one more time. They had 14 penalties against LSU.
Yeah.
Take that away, that game is not even close.
What do you do if you're LSU, Vincent? You got a week off, right? How do you get the hurt players back and soothe some of the wounds and the injury, and how do you get them to play in Bayou Bengal football and get themselves right back in it?
See, people out there listening to 100 yards of football, that's why I love this young man from California, because that was the team I was going to go with, LSU. I can say this is a huge bye week for all the teams. Brian Kelly, you don't make the college playoffs, you're going to join Sam Pittman. You might be joining Billy Napier. You're going to be joining Mike Gundy. It's either you get to the playoffs or you don't. Because you spent a lot of money in the NIL to build your defense. But what's amazing to me, you struggling on offense now. That's what I don't really understand because you got so many great playmakers over there. You got the Brown kid from Kentucky. You got Aaron Anderson, who's going to be a high NFL draft pick. And allegedly, a lot of people saying you had the best quarterback in the country that was going to go number 1 overall in the NFL draft coming up, Mr. Garrett Nussmeier. But believe it or not, the pressure is on Brian Kelly. And it's not on about, oh, I'm gonna go 7-4, 8-4, 9-3, playing a what you want to say, a bowl game. No. LSU has to make the college football playoffs, or Brian Kelly will get fired. Think about what he did and the money they spent on defense. Monsieur Delane, the best cornerback in the portal. Patrick Payton, the best DN in the portal from Florida State. Jack Pabron, the third best DN in the portal from Florida. And then you got Harold Perkins, who's playing healthy this year. Come on, man. That's what I'm looking at LSU. What are they thinking of? What are they talking about on the bye week? Because the pressure is on you, Mr. Brian Kelly. I'm going to look in the screen. You better make the playoffs. Back to you, Hawk. You
All right,
laugh. You're
He's
laughing,
shivering
but that's a
in
real deal.
he's shivering in his coach's shorts right now. Juan, give me your perspective on LSU right now. Before we do that, they've got South Carolina at Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, at Alabama, Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and then at Oklahoma. It doesn't get very easy for these Bengal Tigers. I'm telling you right now, this could be a tough season for them.
They're going to have to find some offense.
Okay.
That's the bottom line. And unfortunately, you had a guy, Brian Kelly, blaming his quarterback. You know, and that's not the way to that's not the way to get, you know, your team motivated or get some excitement. You know, the good coaches, they take it on the chin and say, hey, you know what, it's a coaching thing. It's something that we have to fix. But for you to go and point fingers at your team says a lot about, you know, him as a coach. But if they don't find offense, it's going to be tough sledding. And, you know, I can even throw what you said, Harp, with the whole Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt could either have a really big season to go, you know, end up being 5-5 at one point in time. LSU may be looking at that if they do not find offense.
Interesting. Before we go, guys, real quick, give me a Missouri perspective. They're 5-0. They also have a break coming up for them. Next week is Alabama, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and then at Arkansas to finish and Oklahoma to finish up the season. They're 5-0 right now. They're another team. They may go 1-4 in the next 5 games. Juan, we'll start with you.
Hey, Harp, I'm sticking with your philosophy. I truly believe this is another team that may end up, you know, 5-5 or 6-6.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to find out who Missouri is when they play Alabama, and then from there on out, I think that they're about to run into a buzzsaw, and I just don't see them surviving it.
Yeah, it's such a juggernaut to get through this conference. Even in the division that you're in, doesn't matter if you're in the left or the right division, the West or the East. I mean, just the way that it gets split up now. And I know you have a championship that's a little bit different than it's been in the past. But Vincent, I'm gonna tell you right now, the carnage, man, the cannibalism that'll take place here over the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's just whoever gets through it will deserve to go. Just getting through the gauntlet of really good teams that right now are still undefeated, or they're pretty dang close to that.
Well, this is what we expected when Oklahoma and Texas joined the conference. We expected they was already, in my opinion, the best conference of all of college football. But when Oklahoma and Texas joined the conference, man, I was thinking high championship football every week. Think about it, gentlemen. You got the NIL. You got the best conference that's going to have at least 7 to 8 teams ranked every year. So every weekend it's going to be changing. And let me say this. Even though tonight we talked about the Auburn Tigers, you better not go to sleep on them, because believe me, they're going to get some people this season. Believe that. So when you're looking at it as a fan, as I am, I'm loving it every week of it. Because every week it seems like a college football playoff game is on the horizon. This week in Tuscaloosa, a college football playoff game. Vanderbilt and Alabama. Elimination. It's just like going into prison. The predator on the prey. Back to you, Hawk.
Well, before we go, guys, just one more look at the standings. Ole Miss, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Alabama are all undefeated in the conference right now. Ole Miss is 3-0. Every one of the other teams that I just mentioned is 1-0. Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee are 1-1. South Carolina is 1-2. Thus far, they're 3-2. with the overall record. Texas has not yet played a conference game. They get to open up this week, as we mentioned. They will be playing Florida. And then Mississippi State, Arkansas, Florida are 0-1. And unfortunately, Juan, I'm just going to say with my eyes over Auburn and Kentucky, they're 0-2 right now. But still, you get a win, and you're right back in it. You got a chance. And if nothing else, you want to be playing for a New Year's Day bowl game if you don't get in the playoff.
100%. So there are a lot of football ahead. And again, that's why you love college football. That's why you love being in the SEC. It's hands down the best conference. And like you said, a lot of football. But I tell you what, there's going to be some battles here. And whoever comes out to get into the championship game and win the championship, you can best believe they're going to have their battle scars.
Yeah. Vincent, final thoughts from you.
When I think about the SEC, I think about, as I said, the greatest conference right now in college football, but also I'm going to use a music group from Boston.
Here we
One
go.
of my favorite rock groups, Godsmack. And they had a song out called Bulletproof. You better be bulletproof if you're going to play ball in the SEC coming up the next few weeks. If you're watching the show tonight, our fans, go out there and pull up Godsmack. They've been a very awesome rock band, and they got that song Bulletproof. Back to you, Hawk.
Godsmack and Memphis for over and under on 4 times. You never know what you're going to get here on the show, folks. We appreciate you being a part of it. The SEC action starts at noon on Saturday. First game will be Georgia hosting the Kentucky Wildcats, that one on ABC. And we went over the other games. You got Texas, Florida, Vanderbilt, and Alabama. Kent State will be going to Oklahoma this week, and Mississippi State at Texas A&M. And that game will start at 7:30. It's on the SEC network. So a top-to-bottom full slate. The NCAA action begins tomorrow with Sam Houston going against New Mexico State. There's 5 games that will be taking place on Friday, so plenty of football to watch. And if you're just an SEC fan, as we mentioned, there'll be plenty for you to see on Saturday. So for Juan Daniels, our former University of Georgia Bulldog. What's your Bulldog symbol? Uggo. You can't do anything with it.
Yeah, you can't really do anything with that. Yeah,
we're the Bulldog. And former Arkansas Pig Suey Razorback. Give me one. Go ahead. Give me the Pig Suey.
Well, I want to give this to Mr. Sam Pittman. I appreciate what you've done, your years at the University of Arkansas. Even though you went 31-32, you handled the school as a class act. I love you as a coach. Mr. Pittman, thank you. Ooh, Pig, Suey,
Here we go.
Razorbacks.
There you got it, folks. We hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. We appreciate you being part of 100 Yards of Football. This has been the SEC Show. Thank you so much for joining us. And as we said, just have a fantastic rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody.